Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome to the Small Scape. Today I'm going to be doing a mountainscape with fall color. Thanks for watching. So the purpose of this scape is to do a planter that is out front of our house, and I would like it to have fall color and to last from fall up until spring. So I'm going to be using miniature trees that will grow larger, and I'll be able to use them in the landscape. And then I'm also going to be using, for my fall color, I'm going to be using pansies and some mums, so then I'll get all the colors of the season, from yellow, orange, and red to evergreens that will stay green through the entire winter. So let's get started. So here is my completed planter, and I really like how it turned out. This scape, I was going for kind of I was calling a mountainscape or like a foresty sort of vibe, and I intended everything that I put in here to withstand the elements outside all the way from fall up until spring. So I am in a zone 5, I am in Illinois, and this planter should stand up to our weather, be it rain or snow. I specifically chose plants, with the exception of the pansies. They won't make it up until winter. I'll just pull those out. But everything else in here can be pulled out and either used in a different planter, or I can put them in the landscape. Like I said before, I used trees. I used baby trees. There are 4 in here. 2 of the larger trees are emerald green arborvitaes, and the other 2 that are flanking those 2 center ones are little fire chief arborvitaes. And like I said, all of those will get larger and I can use them elsewhere. But the great thing about those fire chief arborvitaes is that they're a very bright green, and the tips are a very soft orange. So that should lend a lot to the fall colors of this scape. Now I also used mums. I used yellow and red, and then orange pansies. So I kind of like that because it gives the full spectrum of the trees changing color. Yes, the mums will have to be deadheaded, but in a small scale like this, I won't mind it, because normally in the landscape, I have a love-hate relationship with the mums because there is a little bit of work to do with that, deadheading them and all that, but it will add a lot of pretty color to this. You'll see that I have 2 ivies in there. They're 2 different kinds. One is an English ivy, and the lighter one is, I believe, a yellow ripple ivy, and both of those I use not only for the fun kind of foresty texture, but also because it will lend a little bit for soil erosion, because this scape I did slope quite significantly up to the back so that there was a bigger focal point and it kind of looked like a mountainside. Now I did tuck in some of my favorite little sedums throughout and some moss that I did gather from the backyard, and I always like to do that. It covers up little bare spots, and it also kind of lends itself to a little bit more texture. Now for the wood and the rocks, you will notice that I used quite a bit. There is some wood and rock that I used from the aquascaping world, and that would be, the wood is, I used 3 different kinds. I used a piece of driftwood that's in the center, and that serves as kind of like a bridge looking structure over the water. And then in the back and throughout I used spiderwood root and also little pieces of Mopani wood. And then the rocks, there are some, you'll see, I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but in the aquascaping world there is Dragonstone that I used, and I really like that for both aquascaping and out in the garden because it has a very rocky sort of texture. Now I also used a lot of rocks that I foraged, and I think I also used some rocks that I got from the dollar store. The dollar store does have bags of rocks, so if for some reason you can't forage for your own rocks, keep that in mind. You can head to the dollar store and get yourself a bag of rocks. So I did use that, and then I did stick in some branches and twigs that I also found. That's kind of the fun part of doing miniature gardens, is that a lot of the stuff that you use, you can actually just find out in your backyard or walking through a park or at a beach. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration too, is creating little mini scenes from what I see in nature. Now, the water feature that I added, I do a lot of different varieties of water features. You'll notice that I did not include a pump in here. There is no running water. This is the easiest water feature that I include in some of my scapes, and it's just to add a little bit of color and some water. And it's just a black takeout container, and it was a good size, so I usually when we get takeout, I keep the containers. I keep small ones, medium ones, big ones. I have considerable stash because this is what I usually use them for. Little ponds or rivers or lakes, what have you. But this works out very well in a container like this when you want to add a little bit of water but you don't want to go through a lot of work. All I did was I put a little reservoir in the soil, put the takeout container into the soil. I put in glass chips. They're actually meant, I think they're sold as planter fillers or vase fillers, and it's just chunks of glass that are clear, teal, and blue. They're very pretty when you add water to them, and they add a lot of sparkle. So I put that in and then surrounded the outside and kind of covered the rest of the takeout container with rocks so that it looked more natural, and then filled it with water. Then of course, as it rains and snows, that container will continue to collect water. The excess will drip off into the container, so it'll kind of help to kind of water itself. In the winter, it'll be really fun to see the little lake or pond, whatever you want to call it. It'll freeze and it'll look kind of cute. So yeah, so I hope that you got some inspirations from this and you liked it. Now keep in mind, if you are making a large container like this, you want to definitely plant it up wherever you're going to keep it, because once you get this planter filled up, it's going to be very heavy. Hope you enjoyed it, hope it gave you some ideas, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!